Okay, what up, YouTube? It's knowledge of self-determination. All right, now I've been going over, in my head whether I should post any videos about the latest social issues or not. And you know what? I decided, because I've been trying to organize my thoughts and I was gonna have my notes and everything ready, but I think I'm gonna just shoot straight from the hip with this one, other than a few possible Wikipedia references. Now, I think one of the biggest issues right now is the Colin Kaepernick stance on the American flag and bowing or taking a knee during the singing of the national anthem. Now, here's a couple of things that I want to say about that. First and foremost, I want to say rest in peace to all the brothers and sisters who have been killed by the police in the past decade or so. All the brothers and sisters, queens and kings who have been beaten by the police. Now, I just want to make something clear. I come from Maryland, right? I'm from Maryland, from Baltimore City. And there was an article in the paper that was detailing, and it was a couple years ago, I think in like 2015, 2014. There was an article in the paper. It could even been sooner than that. I'm not in Maryland right now, so I don't have access to that particular paper anymore. But that was talking about all of the police brutality cases and the awards and the money that's been allotted to people who have successfully sued Baltimore City Police. And I think it was over the past, 10, 15 years or so, I think going back from 2014 or 2013, give or take, I think it was $8 million or so that had been awarded to people. Now, I could be wrong about that number. Like I said, I'm shooting it straight from the hip, but it was a lot of money. And there were tons and tons of cases of people who had filed complaints of abuse from the police. But anyway, let's get back to it's real. It's real. And the funny thing is, and I'm going to get to Colin Kaepernick, but what I find very amusing, not ha-ha funny, you know what I'm saying, but ironically funny, is that for some reason, or not even some reason, but non-white people in this country, and I have to actually exclude certain groups of non-white people, Hispanic and black people. I don't care if you're Cuban, you're Mexican, you're Puerto Rican, you're from Guatemala. I don't care. Like, you have had run-ins with the police, and you had negative run-ins with the police. Police brutality is not new in this country. It is not a new thing. It has been around for a long time. A long time. It's been around. And their main purpose from their inception, and this is information I got from Booker T. Washington's book, Up from Slavery. I forgot what they called these white men. I forgot the actual name that he said that they were going by in the book. But these white men used to patrol the countryside looking for runaway slaves, and this, that, and the third, or making sure that slaves were on their plantations at a certain time. They weren't doing this, that, and the third. They used to patrol and make sure that all the slaves, quote unquote black people, were where they should be or doing what they should be doing. That is the first inception of what a police force was in this country. And they were designed to patrol and control and police black people, whilst also maintaining the interests of white people. They were there to protect the interests of white people and keep black people in line. Now, Colin Kaepernick is protesting police brutality, and not just police brutality, but police homicide. And he started his protest by first officially taking a knee for the flag, for the Pledge of Allegiance, or the national anthem. I get them, kind of get them confused a little bit. Pledge of Allegiance, national anthem, whatever. Same shit, right? Kind of, sort of. But anyway, he took a stand. Now, I have talked to some of my white colleagues, and what they have, think that these are some of the things that they say. If he's going to protest, that's fine. I understand that. But leave the flag out of it. But why? Because that flag, as my white colleagues have told me, and as I have heard all my life, that flag represents freedom, democracy. You know what I'm saying? It represents It represents all of these positive and life-affirming things, you know. But here's the thing: when that flag was first sewn, and I think the original version of that flag was sewn in 1775, during which America was engaged in the Revolutionary War with the British, right? The Revolutionary War began in 1775. It ended in 1783. So take that to account. 1783. The Emancipation Proclamation was not signed or did not go into effect until 1865, possibly 64 or 65. Almost 100 years later, after the end of the Revolutionary War, which, by the way, we were still slaves during the Revolutionary War, of course. But 1865 is when the Emancipation Proclamation was to take effect. 2 years after that, in 1867, I believe, Jim Crow laws were passed. So we literally had 2 years of being emancipated before white people put the smackdown back on our asses again. Straight clamped down on us. And this was actually worse than slavery almost. Because now we had to fend for ourselves almost. You know? We weren't living on a plantation where they say all of our needs were being met, but our needs weren't being fucking met. We were living like fucking animals on the plantations. But things were a little bit harsher for us because now during the Jim Crow laws, now there are being more laws enacted upon the activities of black people. Now you can't drink from a certain water fountain. You can't walk on the same side of the street as a white person. You can't go into this movie theater. You can't go into this restaurant. You can't ride on this bus in the front. You can't even ride on the bus on this route. You can't do this. You can't do that. We couldn't do shit. We did not gain quote-unquote freedom until 1965, the passing of the Civil Rights Act. So 1783 up to 1960, in fact, from 1783, the ending of the Revolutionary War when America gained its independence and its freedom from Britain, 1783, 1965, do the fucking math. Do the math. Do the math. Like, that's close to 200 years. That's almost 200 years. You understand what I'm saying? That's 182 years, I believe. 182 years. So when someone like Colin Keapernick, other football players on the Miami Dolphins, and other people around the globe, you know, what's the young sister's name? Gabby, the gymnast, the black gymnast, who was in the Olympics in Brazil. The young sister from there, she didn't put her hand over her heart and didn't chant the mantra of the national anthem during the Olympics, and they're trying to crucify her for that. But think about it. What that flag represents. First off, America winning its independence from Great Britain, first and foremost, meant that they were free. Gabby Douglas, that's her name. They were free. They were free from persecution. They were free from the tyranny of the British monarchy. They freed themselves. You understand what I'm saying? They were free. But look at the hypocrisy here. The flag represents freedom and democracy. But, oh, by the way, when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, first and foremost, you're pledging allegiance to the republic for which that flag stands. First and foremost. Secondly, one nation under God is unconstitutional because there should be no talks of God in a mantra that is that supposedly is upholding the values and ideals of a country that has a secular constitution that gives you the freedom from religion and the freedom of religion. You are free to practice whatever religion you want, but you're not free to force that ideal upon other people. That you do not have the freedom to do, as well as should be. Nobody should be allowed to tell you what you should or should not believe in, and then slaughter you for it, i.e. Salem witch trials and all that kind of stuff, and the Crusades and yada, yada, yada. Salem witch trials, though, was completely ridiculous because there's no fucking such thing as magic. Therefore, there's no such thing as fucking witches. But that's a conversation for another day. Please don't flood my inbox with a whole bunch of stupid ass comments about witches and shit, because this is not a conversation about witches. Just trying to make a point. But anyway, so we didn't have any freedom. So what that flag represents for Europeans does not represent the same thing for black people. It does not represent the same thing for us. It does not represent that for us. Let me say that again. It does not represent freedom and democracy for us, because when white people won their freedom from the British Empire, we were still fucking slaves. Still slaves. You understand what I'm saying? Still slaves. Now, look at this as hypocrisy. You're fighting for your own freedom from tyranny, from a monarchy. You're fighting for your own freedom, the freedom to worship whatever God you want, to practice whatever religion you want, the freedom from the monarchy telling you what you can and can't do, and so on and so forth, whilst enslaving another race of people, Africans, whilst putting in perpetual servitude other races of people, disenfranchising them, making them indentured servants, and, subjugating them. The Asians, other poorer or less looked down, or more looked down upon European races like the Irish and Italians and things of that nature. These people were treated like crap when they first came over to this country. You know what I'm saying? During and following the Reconstruction period and all that stuff. They were looked down upon. They were treated like crap. And for the most part, at least I know for the Italians, they weren't even considered to be white people. They were not allowed to claim white as their race. But in any event, Colin Keapernick and other people taking a stand against the flag isn't necessarily a diss to the flag itself. It's a diss, just a knock to what that flag is supposed to represent: freedom and equality and democracy is what you people say that flag means. But let me break something to you. That flag is a military flag. It is a military flag. Yes, it is a military flag. Military wartime flag. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And everything that symbol symbolizes. So if that is a symbol of something, then the only thing that it can actually be a symbol of is what it was designed to actually represent, which is war. Military rule. You understand? Military rule. Military rule. Wartime. That's what that flag represents. You understand? America actually has a peacetime civil flag. And you know what? I'll do a separate video breaking down the differences between the American flags. But we actually have a peacetime civil flag that, from my own investigation and questioning of people, nobody knows about this flag. I've maybe run into less than a handful of people who actually know that there's another flag besides Old Glory, that knows that there is a peacetime civil flag in America. I've only ran across a few people who actually know this. Not too many Americans don't know this. How can you know something that you've never been taught? Why is that? If you're going to represent a flag, if you're going to pledge allegiance to a flag, pledge allegiance to the flag that actually means what you think Old Glory actually represents. Pledge allegiance to that. If white people want black people to acknowledge their flag and to represent their flag and show respect for it, then give us fucking due justice. These cops are killing black people in the fucking streets. And again, big ups to Colin Keapernick for putting his voice out there. These cops are killing black people, black men, black boys in the streets. In cold blood. In cold blood. And when these cops are relieved of their positions as police officers, they get to retire with their full benefits, even though they haven't even reached the age of retirement. They get their full pension. Not a problem. They get their full pension. Not a problem. They get their full pension. Go to the grand jury. The grand jury doesn't see anything wrong with what they're doing. They don't see anything wrong. The grand jury has not convicted or indicted any of these cops who have committed these atrocities towards black people. They have done nothing. Nothing, which means to black people that we cannot find justice in the American judicial system. which is something that mostly all black people in this country know anyway. We already know that there's no justice for us in the American judicial system. We know this. We understand this wholeheartedly. There are no mistakes about that. And every time a black person is killed by a cop in cold blood for no reason, you just prove that point even more. There's no reason for these cops to continue to do what they're doing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and end this video because that's what I really wanted to talk about, the Colin Keapernick thing, and shed some light on why I am approving of Colin Keapernick taking a knee for the flag. He could have done other things. He could have took out a flag and pissed on it. He could have wiped his ass with the flag. You know what I'm saying? He could have wiped his ass for the flag. But white people don't seem to understand why black people don't feel the same way about that flag that they do. I'm going to reiterate this. We don't feel the same way about the flag because when your flag was created, we were slaves. Yeah? When you flew your flag at the end of the revolution, during the Revolutionary War, and at the end of the Revolutionary War, we were slaves. You understand? Yeah. When the Battle of 1812 came along, when the fucking Pledge of Allegiance, which is the allegiance to the flag, I pledge allegiance to the flag, the Battle of 1812 that happened in Fort McHenry in Baltimore, in the Chesapeake Bay area in Baltimore, the War of 1812, Francis Scott Key wrote the Pledge of Allegiance. We were still fucking slaves in 1812. So none of these symbols that you people uphold and represent anything about us. You people don't even want to teach us about ourselves. First and foremost, you don't learn anything about black history in school, in the American educational system. And the little bit that they put in history is fucking laughable. It's laughable. You understand? And I said I was going to end the video like 2 minutes ago, and I'm going to. I just want to say one thing. One of the greatest minds, not just black minds, one of the greatest minds to ever exist, Benjamin Banneker, was a genius with a photographic memory. And that's all I'm going to say. I ask black kids, because I work in education, and I ask people, teachers, adults, people with fucking master's degrees, teaching certifications, bachelor's degrees, people who've been working with kids and working in the school system for years before me, who don't know who the fuck Benjamin Banneker is. There's a problem. There's a problem because Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, a nation state, because it's not included when you talk about the 50 states, there's the 50 states, the 50 United States, or the 50 states of America, and Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is not a fucking state. It's not counted as a state. People get angry, especially people from D.C., but fucking learn your history, because it's a fact. Anyway, Benjamin Banneker. Design. Finish whatever plans that him and the French dude, I can't remember his name right now, came up with for D.C. The dude died, the plans got burnt. Benjamin Banneker built D.C. from his memory. From his memory. And then lined up a lot of the monuments, mostly all the monuments in D.C. with the fucking stars. The same way the pyramids line up with the stars during the virginal equinox and the solstice and so on and so forth. He was a genius. He created the freaking Farmer's Almanac. This dude he was the inventor of the pocket watch. And these are just a few of the things Benjamin Banneker actually did. Learn your fucking history, man. Learn your history. Stop getting mad about a flag that you don't know shit about. Learn something about your fucking flag. I'm not making up the shit about the fucking flag. My picture on YouTube is a picture of the American flag. I'm going to try and see if I can insert an actual picture of that in this video so that you people can see the civil peacetime flag in contrast to the wartime military flag. There's a slight difference. They're virtually identical, except there's a noticeable. It's slight, but it's noticeable. Learn your fucking history. Read a book. Stop listening to stop believing everything you see on fucking TV, because everybody lies in this country. History in America is a fucking lie. It's a lie. They give you enough of the history while omitting some very, very huge portions of it. For me, the history that they give you in America is not fulfilling. It doesn't sustain you. Anyway, that's all I got from now. I'm going to go in and end this video. I'm going to post other videos, though. I definitely want to post videos about the flag and give some information on that and other things, like and other things that are happening in America. So, peace out. This is Knowledge of Self-Determination. I hope somebody learned something from this video. You know, if I was too loud, my bad, but this is a very touchy topic for me. But I'll go in more on other things in more detail later, probably on the weekend or so. Peace.